And a TGIF, everyone. Welcome into the First Call podcast. He's Jeff Siegel dealing with computer gremlins today. So if he's a little short and snippy, you'll understand why. I'm Jeremy Plonk. Everything's going great here computer-wise. Knock on wood, though, Jeff. I probably just jinxed the podcast with that. We are set to go for 8 handicapping stakes encounters for you this weekend. We'll take a look at some races on closing weekend at Santa Anita. The great race place wraps up its championship Hollywood meet coming up here on Sunday. And of course, it's Haskell Preview Day at Monmouth Park. Jeff, how are we doing other than the computer?
Very frustrating here. We're going to take a week off, and I think it's because you're going on vacation and because our computers need a vacation too.
Yeah, that's
everything's all messed up, and the worst part about it is it's fixed now, but A, I don't know for how long, and B, we didn't do anything. It just fixed itself. So at least on my end, enough of that. Let's make some money this weekend and give you some money to spend down in South Carolina where you'll be.
I like it. That sounds good. Yeah, let's go ahead and make some cash. Let's take a look at the stakes races that we will handicap on the podcast this week for the benefit of those of you listening on our audio channels. Here are the 8 races that we have lined up for you coming up on the podcast. We go to Belmont at the Big A for the Bed of Roses Stakes for the sprinters. Then we'll go to Monmouth Park, where 4 races make up the card for Haskell Preview Day: the Eatontown, the Pegasus, the Monmouth Stakes, and then the Salvatore Mile. We'll also go to Churchill Downs, where they've got 2 overnight stakes on the schedule, the Monomoy Girl and the Chorleywood Stakes, and to Santa Anita, where Saturday's feature will be the Possibly Perfect. Of course, Sunday at Santa Anita, it's the San Juan Capistrano, the goodbye race to the racing season at Santa Anita each and every year. That'll be the feature race on Sunday. 2 million first wager rewards points are up for grabs in a hit and split promotion each day here at the end of the season at Santa Anita, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you could take down the late pick 4 on any of those days, you'll share your share of 2 million first wager rewards points. Of course, they can be redeemed for wagering credits, swag, handicapping products, and more in the pro shop. So a lot of reasons to play this weekend. We've also got a lot of handicapping tournaments. Be sure to check out expressbet.com for all the handicapping tournament schedules, needs, registrations, and get yourself into those contests coming up this weekend. Jeff, let's get handicapping at Belmont on Saturday. Belmont at the Big A, of course. If you've seen any of the demolition pictures of Belmont Park, it's a slow process of Belmont Park proper. Some interesting video on Twitter surfacing over the last week or so. But at the Big A, we've got hopefully clear skies. It's going to be a little bit of a yucky Friday in New York and New Jersey, but Saturday looks great on the forecast. So expect good track conditions for the racing on Saturday. Belmont at the Big A, race number 10. It's the Bed of Roses, $200,000, 7 furlong sprint. And this is a really good field, Jeff. I mean, you don't have a Goodnight Olive type in here, but this is a really high-class group, and it's representative of the Grade 2 designation.
Yeah, I mean, this is a sprint for pretty good fillies and mares worn up to the top, but Flying Connection, at least in a recent form, is close to that. She can't beat Vava and Adair Manor. That's okay. I'm not holding her against that. I'm holding it in against her, but her form has been very consistent. It looks like she's really developed as a 4-year-old, as a daughter of Nyquist. They can be precocious, but they can get better with age as well. And Flying Connection, a pretty willing third last time out at a Grade 1. And that was at Churchill, and then before that, a decent second behind the Adair Manor and the Apple Blossom. And again, she's coming out of the best races. You don't think of her necessarily as being a sprinter. She's been mostly a middle distance type. She can sprint. At least she could when she was given a chance to earlier in her career. So I'm looking at her at 3-1 and a new barn, high percentage barn now. I think Flying Connection is going to step forward, and I think 7/8's going to fit him just fit her just right. So I like her.
She was behind 2 good ones last time out at Churchill Downs on Derby weekend. Let's go back and check out the Derby City Distaff, where it was a 3rd place finish for Flying Connection.
At the top of the stretch, Alpha Star grabs the front. Alpha Star off the turn in front. Baba closing the gap on the outside. Sterling Silver trying to put in a run down the center of the track. Alvastar and Vava. Vava's taking the lead. Then comes Sterling Silver. Chi-Town Lady on the far outside. Vava has it close to home. It's Vava. Vava in finish and strong at the finish. Won it by 2.5. Alvastar was second, and then Flying Connection third.
Exceed goes in here for Chad Brown coming off of back-to-back wins. You've got Apple Picker, who's won 2 of her last 3, including the Barbara Fritchie and the Ski Pat in Maryland. She comes north for Brittany Russell, who just had a, third-place finish or second-place finish in the Met Mile with her big runner post time. So we'll see if Apple Picker can make the trip north successfully. Sheeta Beauty in here for Chad Brown, another one who's got good form on her best day. This is a deep competitive bunch in here. Leave No Traces won 2 in a row, including the Vagrancy Stakes. So you've got some hot fillies, but the one who's really dropping in class after facing a Dare Manor and Vava in her last 2, it's Flying Connection, top pick in here for Jeff. With Ricardo Santana Jr. riding. Let's switch gears now and go to Monmouth Park on Saturday. The Saturday slate at Monmouth Park features 4 stakes races towards the Haskell preview day. Haskell Stakes coming up 5 weeks from now. The Pegasus will be the prep race for that. The Eatontown will get the runners ready for perhaps a run in the United Nations for the older turf set here. Eatontown will be race number 9 on the card. Grade 3 company here, $150,000 to purse. Spirit and Glory for Robert Falcone, 5-2 on the morning line. One of the favorites in here. Tax implications for Chad Brown, one of a couple in here for Brown, as you'd expect, 7-2. You also got Mom and June for Chad Brown in this race at 9-1. Eatontown Stakes, Jeff, how do you see it shaking out?
I actually ended up with Sacred Wish. And I like her because she's versatile. In other words, she can run on the dirt. She can run on the grass. She can go wire to wire, as she did last time in an allowance race in New York. But she used to be a deep closer. So no matter how the race shape sets up, she's going to be able to adapt. And from that lovely inside draw coming out of that chute, she's going to just draft into a great ground-saving second flight trip. And be wherever she wants to be. I'd let her roll out of there and try to maintain that position. She was asked some tough questions last year, ran her in the Alabama and things like that. CC Rhodes beating the neck in that race. So she's got the level of class to do it. Numbers-wise, she's pretty darn close to where she needs to be. So a 3-1 in the morning line, I like Sacred Wish in a race in which 4 or 5 could win it. It's a good, really difficult edition of this race, and it drew a pretty good field.
Let's go to Sacred Wish. Last time out, winning on the allowance circuit at Aqueduct.
Of a mile, and Sacred Wish trying to put it away. Here comes Malimu, continues to chase down, now moves towards the outside, but Sacred Wish immediately puts 3 lengths on the rest of the field, and they are lined up there battling on for the place position so far, as Sacred Wish is opening up with every stride. And now a 16th left to go, no doubt. Going to take them all the way. Sacred Wish wins it easily. Suit to finish up for second, Malimu, breath away.
So Sacred Wish going to try to step up in class, take advantage of that inside draw, as Jeff mentioned, with that elbow start coming out of the chute. I think that's an underrated handicapping angle. When you have tracks that utilize that, Del Mar, you see some other tracks around the country that have that same kind of chute in the infield for some of the distances for turf races. I think the inside can be very advantageous in that respect. So Sacred Wish and Kendrick Carmouche, who's a speed jockey, I think they're probably going to send in this particular spot and try to repeat a little bit of the form they had last time. But like you said, versatile running style. I misspoke a little while ago saying this could be a prep for the UN. This is a prep for the matchmaker. These are the fillies and mares. So these fillies and mares would come back in the matchmaker in 5 weeks' time on the Haskell undercard. We'll have a prep for the UN coming up in just a moment. But the prep for the Haskell Stakes, I'm certain about that, is the Pegasus. And that is 1 mile and a 16th on the main track Saturday at Monmouth Park. Some names that we're familiar with in here. Uncle Heavy was in the Preakness Stakes. Domestic Product was in the Kentucky Derby. Hades was in the Florida Derby after after winning the Holy Bulls. So, Jeff, these are some horses fans who have followed the Triple Crown Trail certainly know about. C Streaks, the New Jersey bred who hasn't done much wrong, won the Long Branch by 7 last time out for Eddie Owens. This is a good-looking group. Tuscan Sky, maybe the favorite in here, 5-2 in the morning line for trainer Todd Pletcher. He'll add blinkers for the first time after a disappointing run in the Wood Memorial. Good-looking race. I don't know if any of these come out of here towards favoritism in the Haskell Stakes. That race will have a much stronger cast than this, but who might make their step forward towards that big one in 5 weeks?
Yeah, it's a good race, an unusual condition here, Jeremy, for this race, the Pegasus, for 3-year-olds, which were thought to be pretty good, but really aren't. And those are the ones that are eligible. So I ended up with Tuscan Sky, but if I had to pick a name out of a hat for a selection, I could probably make some kind of case for it, or tell you why they won't win. I mean, it's just the way it is. Tuscan Sky won his first 2 races, earned a 95 Meyer number in the second start, looked like a horse that would be one of Pletcher's better 3-year-old Derby type horses. And he was 5-2, not the favorite, but 5-2 in the Wood last time out, and didn't raise a gallop. I mean, it was awful that day. I mean, borderline awful. So now he's off for a couple of months. Blinkers going on. I haven't seen him work at Churchill. I don't know what he looks like. I don't know what to make of him, but again, it'll be interesting to see if the blinkers wake him up, because he didn't want to run in the Wood. He did not want to run. He dropped out of it early and said, I'm going nowhere. And he did go nowhere. The others here, I never was that impressed with Hades. I never thought he was that good. He had a great resume. First 3 starts were wins, and then the bottom fell out of that. Domestic Product won the Tampa Bay Derby, and I guess you can always excuse a bad race in the Derby. The second race, he could bounce back. And C Streak's interesting. He's a Jersey bred. Right. His numbers are rising. I don't know what kind of trip he's going to get out there in the 8-hole. He looks like he wants to be stalking or pouncing, and I'm not sure how much pace is in this race. This race is so difficult because you mentioned who's going to be in front. I guess it could be Tuscan Sky. I mean, he should be in the slop and the blinkers, and if they send him, I mean, if you have a feel for this race, Jeremy, I'd love to hear it.
I like C Streak because he's like supposed to be here. The others are the ones, like you said, we thought they were good, maybe they're not, and so they're trying to find their way in 150 grander. He's making the natural move. This is the kind of race he should be in, from the Allowance to the Long Branch to this one. I prefer that he didn't have the 8-hole in this particular spot. In my own 16th, fairly short run to the first turn. And there's not defined speed in here. I could see C Streak sitting second or third, but it could be 3 wide on the clubhouse turn sitting second or third, depending on how things shake out to his inside. There's not a ton of speed. Maybe Hades goes with Paco Lopez back aboard. Paco's a speed jockey. He understands Monmouth. He'll want to get towards the front. So Hades and Tuscan Sky might come out of there 1-2, and C Streak could sit third. If he can kind of draft over a little bit and not be 3 wide, I think he's got a shot in there. I would take the chance with that one. I know he's picking up 5 pounds off the Long Branch and taking on stronger competition. Hopefully you could get a little bit of a price. I'm not wild about beating Pletcher and Orsino and some big name horses, Chad Brown, and only getting 7-2 with the Jersey bred. So maybe we could get a little bit more price with C Streak, but at like around 5-1, I could get pretty interested in him.
Yeah, I same thing with if he had been drawn inside, I would have maybe picked him, but I don't know what he's gonna. He might get pushed out and out of the race before it starts, or maybe he won't. I don't know. It's the same thing you can say about every one of these horses. Maybe or maybe not. He'll run well. Maybe he won't. I don't know.
Yeah, not the strongest race, but it's got some names in there people are going to recognize, so it's going to be one of the more attractive races. But from a gambling standpoint, I'm not that wild to get involved in there, especially if C Streak is around that 7-2 price. So let's check the tote on that one when Saturday afternoon comes around. To the 11th on Saturday, it's the Monmouth Stakes, of course, at Monmouth Park. This is the race that would be the prep towards the United Nations. These are the Colts and the Geldings going 1 mile and an eighth on the main track. They will start at the head of that long infield chute and then come around and make a lap proper. Beatbox in this race for Cherie DeVoe was the horse who I thought could not lose on Preakness Day. Not only could he not lose, he got beat 18 lengths. So I don't know. It was a very soft turf course of that day at Churchill Downs. He had won on the soft before. He's got to be better than that, Jeff. I was really impressed with this horse down at Fairgrounds, and just that last race is just too bad for me to believe. The Dinner Party Stakes, of course, is a race that's fairly popular with horses coming back in this particular spot, because you've also got Running B in this particular spot, a third place finisher for Chad Brown in that Dinner Party Stakes. How do you see it shaking out?
I'll tell you what, I looked at this race again, back and forth, upside down and backwards, and I ended up with Running B. That was a swamp they ran in that race, you know. I mean, you go a mile and an eighth in 158. That's about, it's more than a 16th of a mile slower than they would be running if it was on firm. So, but his form was that way. He was getting better. He was favored in that race on the basis of a series of fast, highly rated races that he was in. His numbers were very, very strong for a horse that only has 10 starts, and he's been first or second 7 out of 10. So you can't say he's not consistent. I think going a mile and eighth is a reasonable run for him to get over. He's a horse that if he makes the lead, he's really tough to catch. Again, there's a possibility that might happen. He doesn't need the lead to win. And another horse that, he's pretty handy. And I think Chad's got him in a really good spot here. And so 4-1, I could live with that. I wouldn't want less, but I think that's what it'll be. So Running B for me, I think he's in a good spot. If he runs back to his some of his other races, the best races, even the Keeneland race was, I thought, pretty good. That was a career top race for him. So if he does that, I think he'll win.
Let's go back and take a look at that race with Kurt Becker.
Now let's see from here what Running B can do. Still has to get Dominican Pioneer. Running B comes off the rail now. Injunction, Ocean Atlantique, far outside, a credit between horses. Still Dominican Pioneer with the lead, and Dominican Pioneer chased by Masterpiece, who's coming late up the rail, and Running B, who's there from the outside. Running B again comes after Dominican Pioneer. Running B, yes, finally.
What I like about Running B is he's won 3 of his last 6. You saw that race from 2 races back. You look at the form of some of these other horses in this race, the Fort Washingtons, the Grand Sonatas, you're looking at like a dozen past performance lines with 1 win in them, you know? They've run okay, but they don't win very often of late. So I like the fact you've got a horse who likes to find the winner's circle. I'm going to wheel back and try Beatbox one more time. I just can't believe that last race, and we'll see. Cherie DeVoe's horses have been going well here over the last several months. So I'm going to give Beatbox another shot in here. Running B. Let's go 2-9 exacta box. Take those 2 out of the dinner party and see if we can't get to some dessert. We didn't get paid in the dinner party, but maybe we'll get dessert in the Monmouth Stakes going with those 2. Right. Salvatore Mile is race number 12 on the card on Saturday at Monmouth Park. $150,000 for this one. 2-turn mile, of course, is the configuration of the track at Monmouth Park when they run races like this. Bright Future, not seen since running 6th in the Breeders' Cup Classic, beaten only 3 lengths that day. He's a winner of the Jockey Club Gold Cup. This will be the first race of the year for him. Jeff, I like these straight mile races, comeback distance. I think it's a good distance for a comeback spot. Pace won't be ridiculous. You don't need a ton of stamina to go a mile. I think it's the perfect fit for a horse coming off the layoff on the dirt like this. So Bright Future's in a pretty good, well-placed spot here.
Yeah, he really, years ago you would say, wow, the Jockey Club Gold Cup winner is coming back in a grade 3 at Monmouth. It would surprise you. Now nothing surprises you. You don't know what you're going to get. But this horse back in the day when he first started coming around as a younger horse, as a 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 year old, I should say, was a miler, and I think this is a logical spot for him. He wasn't embarrassed in the Breeders' Cup Classic over a track which you really couldn't close much on, and he tried to anyway. Then they put him away. He's 5 years old now, son of Curlin, so this should be his best year so far, and he has not been over-raced. The work pattern, I like this. When Chad breezes a horse 5/8 of a mile, they're usually going 3/4 out and 7. And look how many 5/8 he's got. Bullet Works, nice blowout. 3rd fastest of 172 when he went 47 and 3 at Belmont on the training track. So this horse is cranked up. I mean, there's no excuses. He is absolutely fit. Now he's also even money, so he's not going to get even money on the morning line. So you're not going to get rich, but this looks like a good starting point for him. And then after he gets through this race, hopefully he wins, then he can move right back up to the better races and for the older horses. I think Bright Future is going to win and win nicely here.
Could be a prep for a return to the Jockey Club Gold Cup at Saratoga this summer.
Clapton launches a very wide bid as the field turns for home. Bright Future is up to take the lead. Tyson, there's a beautiful spot for Proxy in between if he's good enough. And Bright Future has a length and a half lead with a furlong left to go, running strongly. Proxy, center of the track, Clapton and Tyson. Bright Future digging in. Proxy's trying to get him. Bright Future or Proxy. Bright Future, Proxy. Here's the line. Photo finish. Bright Future and Proxy in a Jockey Club Gold Cup thriller.
Now, a horse in here I think I want to give a little bit of a look to is Coastal Mission. This is the Charlestown-based runner for Jeff Runco, coming off a fourth disappointing race in the Maryland Sprint on Preakness weekend. That was on a really wet track. This horse really threw it down 2 starts prior to that in the Frank Whiteley. Coastal Mission, Prince of Jericho, they were going neck and neck. I think he bounced a little bit off that race, and I like him getting back to 2 turns here because this horse at Charlestown, yeah, you see a lot of 7 furlong races, but those are 2-turn races on the bull ring. I don't think he's a natural sprinter. So I think this mile distance is just about right for him. And this will be the first chance he gets to run a 2-turn mile. I think it'll be a good suit for him. A horse who's won 12 of 20 lifetime, almost all of those at Charlestown. But Coastal Mission's interesting in here. Again, like we had in the previous race, I'm not wild about the post drawing the 8-hole in this particular spot with the other runners in here. There's not a ton of speed in this race. So I think he could probably get fair position, second, third path worst going around the clubhouse turn. But Arnaldo Boca Chica, his regular rider, comes up from Charlestown to ride. I'm going to give Coastal Mission a shot in here, but I don't think he can win it. But at 10-1 in the morning line, if he runs second, I think he could be a good one for the exacta. 2-8 exacta for me in the Salvatore Mile, Jeff.
By the way, Jeremy, you mentioned he might be better around 2 turns. Well, that's what he does at Charlestown when he's,
right.
He's going 2 turns. Don't tell him that it's a sprint. He's going to go around this way. So, I mean, I think you're right. Another situation, Jeremy, where, God, I wish all these picks that I would consider weren't outside the whole day. That's all we're getting is outside draws here.
Yeah.
And you figure it in the 8-hole, it's not bad. No, it's not bad, but if you're going to beat Bright Future, you need every edge you can get.
That's right. You don't want to be giving away a length and a half, 2 lengths just by cutting the corner. So when you got to beat the Jockey Club Gold Cup winner. Right. Let's switch gears now from Monmouth on Saturday, and we're going to head up to Churchill Downs now for a pair of overnight stakes races. Overnight stakes race, if you hear that term, just a little 101 racing for you. A general stakes race will have nominations and you pay to enter and nominate those races. An overnight race, you don't have to advance nominate to the race. You don't have to pay to nominate. It's just like an overnight entry, like an allowance race would be in terms of the condition book. So they don't have to pay to get in. You don't have a big situation there, that you've got to get in, 5 weeks in advance on a nominations kind of deal like that. So they closed the nominations for this on the 29th, 2 weeks ago. And again, no entry fee to enter. So let's go ahead and take a look at the field for the Monomoy Girl Stakes, Jeff. We've got 2, 4, 6 of them in here. The Monomoy Girl, of course, named for Brad Cox's outstanding Kentucky Oaks winner, Breeders' Cup Distaff winner, multiple Breeders' Cup champion. In fact, how do you see this one turning out?
Interesting. What your point about the overnight stakes. Also, a lot of the this is done because of the contract with the horseman. They can only use X amount of money for stakes, and then they want to write this race, but they don't want to take it out of the stakes portion of the purse money available. They call it an overnight stakes, but it's a stakes, and it's got black type with it and all that. So I went with. Again, no great gamble here. Most of the money is going to go to either Our Pretty Woman or Intricate. Both fillies trying to get back where they were. Intricate's got that huge win in the Goldenrod last year as a 2-year-old, beating Torpedo Anna. But she hasn't come back to that. Not really, anyway. I mean, she was beaten as the favorite in the Slop and the Rachel Alexander, and then in the Fairgrounds Oaks, she was non-competitive. So a little time off, and maybe she can bounce back. We'll find out where she is and what kind of summer she's going to have. Our Pretty Woman, same thing. I mean, she ran 3 really good races. Had the 14-hole in the Kentucky Oaks. I can forgive that. Again, I haven't seen her breeze, no video there, but I can tell you that from where she's drawn, she is going to get a lovely trip, either on the lead or right up there. And I I have a lot more confidence in Our Pretty Woman coming back to her best than Intricate. I got to see something from her better than what I've seen.
Yeah, when Intricate was rolling last year in the Goldenrod, you thought she's going to be one of the big ones for the Kentucky Oaks, and she just hasn't developed from 2 to 3. But Our Pretty Woman had a really good run in the Fairgrounds Oaks when she was second best. Let's go back and take a look at that one from earlier this spring.
3/4, 1 minute 12.42 seconds. They turn for home, and there goes Tarifa. For Flavian Pratt, Tarifa has taken the lead from Our Pretty Woman, who tries to respond to Tarifa into this final Fairgrounds furlong. And these two fillies face off. It is Tarifa narrowly. Tarifa from toward the inside, a very game. Our Pretty Woman. Vivi's Dream is third. It is Tarifa narrowly over Our Pretty Woman. Tarifa triumphant, and the Fairgrounds Oaks beats Our Pretty Woman by 3/4 of a length.
Our Pretty Woman gets a jockey change to Luis Saez for the first time from Joel Rosario. Rosario ends up on the 1, Promise Me an Empire. But I think style-wise, Saez is going to be a better fit, a more aggressive early jockey than Rosario, and I think this is a good fit for Our Pretty Woman. Remember, she was on the also eligible list for the Kentucky Oaks. They didn't think she was getting into the last minute, and then drew in the 14-hole. Just draw a line through that race. She pressed for a bit and then stopped. The fact that she gave it up so early and easily in that race, the race probably didn't take much out of her. I would expect her to bounce back. I'm with you. Our Pretty Woman, drawn well, speed inside Saez. I think she's going to be too much for him in the Monomoy Girl. Let's go to the 7th race on Saturday at Churchill Downs. It's the Chorleywood Overnight Stakes, 175,000, a mile and 3/8 on the turf. Distance you don't get too often, but we've got some names in here we're familiar with. Tawny Port, cross-centered here, as well as at Monmouth Park. I think Tawny Port is going to run in this race at Churchill. Be sure to check the final entries and scratches for that. Pretty interesting group of international horses with experience and pedigrees in here, Jeff. Track conditions should be good at Churchill Downs. Very similar weather in Kentucky, kind of a soggy, maybe dark, gloomy Friday, but supposed to be nice on Saturday. So I expect good turf conditions for this mile and 3/8. Who do you like in the 7th?
Well, I mentioned about posts and always getting stuck outside in all of the races here. So the racing god said, "Do you think those were bad? We're going to go a mile and 3/8 where you're on top of the far turn, and I'm going to stick to the 9-hole there." Okay, with Winning Spirit. Now, and I was very disappointed not only with the post, but the fact that I couldn't find a German tape. We're pretty good finding these German races, and they usually run pretty well. Racing in Germany is a lot better than people give them credit. These winners credit for, like Rebels Romance a couple of years back. But Winning Spirit is a lightly raced colt. He's won 4 out of 9. He hasn't been out since August, so he's launching a comeback here for Christophe Clement in a overnight stake, but a legitimate stakes race. Against older horses from a bad post. He's 12-1. Now his time form ratings aren't great, but I look at the form. He's running in the best races in Germany. He was in the German Derby. He was 4th of 20. That's Royal Ascot-esque. That's a pretty good race. Italian Derby, he was 2nd in. He handles heavy ground if he has to. He's also decent on good ground. He can get the trip. I don't think Christophe Clement would be running him in this race. Off a layoff at a mile and 3/8. Because he was a middle distance horse in his early days, and I think he could have found an easier spot. But here he is. He gets Rosario, one of his main guys, and I think he's better than form indicates, and he's 12-1. I'm looking for a 12-1 shot. That's the main thing. The web slingers of the world, Tawny Port, and Bold Act. I mean, they're all capable. They're all, on their best day good enough. But I'm looking for a fresh face and an upset. He might be overmatched, but I don't think so. That's good form. It really for 3-year-olds, and I'm going to trust the trainer here and thinking that he wouldn't be running them in this type of race unless he was at least fit enough, if not good enough, and hopefully both, and the price is right. So I'm going to try the German-bred Winning Spirit to pull off an upset in this overnight stakes going a mile and 3/8 on grass.
What about Segoy in here, right to his outside? There's not a lot of pace in here, and this is a galloper who was claimed for 50,000 by Mike Maker at age 7. Immediately stepped up into a turf marathon stakes and became a graded stakes winner. Pat your back if you've heard that 1,000 times before, right? I mean, this is the Maker playbook.
Yeah.
This horse is a little under the radar because he won on Preakness Day in the Louisville Handicap on that first step up in class when a lot of people were paying attention to some other races around the country, but he might have fallen into another spot where there's just no other pace in here, and he could be interesting with Julian Leparoux if they just decide they want to go. Now he's going to be out towards the outside in this field in post 10, so he's going to have to kind of, speed and clear these, but there's not a lot of pace to his inside, and I think he can get to the front against this group, so I'm going to give Segoy a shot in here as well. I think he's got a chance to go a long way on these 11 furlongs.
Well, not only does he have a chance to make the lead, but if he doesn't, he's still pretty dangerous, I mean, he doesn't have to be in front. He looks like he's really happy when he can do it. But, last time out, he pressed the pace and then still won. It wasn't like they handed him an easy early lead. He's been through a lot of barns, and he's got some age on him, but he also has 10 wins on his resume from 27 career starts. He's got 2 of a Churchill. He earned a career top buyer number in his last start, and I would definitely feel at 5-1 that he is one of the major players in the field. And the fact is that he's coming back fairly quickly. He walked on the lead last time out. You're right. It wasn't like he was like taxed to the 10th degree there. He just kind of lifted to the top of the stretch and ran a quarter of a mile and proved best. I mean, if I'm playing exactors or any kind of rolling exotics, number 10, how do you pronounce his name?
I went with Segoy.
Segoy, okay, close enough for me. I was going to say the same thing, but I wanted you to take, to set it up for me. But anyway, I think he's got a chance here at a price. I'm a little bit soft on some of the, the like Bold Act. I mean, can I trust him? I don't know.
He's had his chances, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's been odds on in his last 2 races and hasn't delivered the goods. And I don't know about Web Slinger, I don't know if he's a mini marathoner or not. And Tawny Port, I've tried him a bunch of times, so that's why I'm trying another fresh race, and we'll see how if my long shot can come in.
Let's switch gears now to Santa Anita on Saturday. Again, a reminder, closing weekend at the Great Race Place for this Hollywood meet. Then they'll go to Los Al for a little bit and off to Del Mar in July. So Santa Anita's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday cards include that $2 million first wager rewards points hit and split. So be sure to bet the late pick 4 on Santa Anita's card Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with First Bet and Express Bet and win your share of 2 million first wager rewards points. Again, they can be redeemed for wagering credits, for past performances, handicapping data, swag, all kinds of things in the Express Bet Pro Shop and the First Pro Shop. So check out those late pick 4 sequences. On the Saturday card, race number 5, the Possibly Perfect Stakes is our handicapping task for Jeff Siegel. Jeff, there's a good one in here, Linda's Gift. She is coming off a disappointment in the Gamely last time in Grade 1 company. Now she's back in listed stakes company. Can anybody beat Linda's Gift?
Not if Linda's Gift shows up with her previous form prior to the Gamely, which was a tough race. I mean, Anna Set is a darn good horse and loves Santa Anita, and a few others in that race pretty good as well. Linda's Gift didn't really get a great trip. She was kind of wide throughout. And the thing about this group is, if you look at the Santa Ana, the race before last, against essentially this level of competition, at a mile and a quarter, as this race is over the same turf course, it's, she set second that day, but I don't know how she avoids not being on the lead here. There's just nothing in here that can show tactical speed. And Linda's Gift, while she doesn't need the lift, a lead, if you say go ahead and be on the lead by yourself, she'll say thank you very much, goodbye, see you later. And that's what's going to happen here. I mean, she's going to make the lead, and no one's going to catch her. She's just too good, and that's the way it is, and that's fine. This is her level. She's a grade 3, grade 2 type of mare, and this is the kind of race she's supposed to win and usually does.
At a mile and a quarter, she was awfully tough in the Santa Ana. She's back at that same distance.
Leisure Wear, the leader. Linda's Gift poised to pounce on the outside, and Queen's Command gets into the race, swinging out for the drive. Kinjani 5 off the lead in the red, top of the stretch, and Linda's Gift takes over, quickly putting away Leisure Wear. 3 lengths back, Kinjani, and on the outside, Queen's Command finishing nicely into second, but it's all Linda's Gift. Linda's Gift in fine form. Absolutely crushes them in the Santa Ana by 4.5 lengths.
So in Saturday's main event, if the tactics are to go after her, maybe turn her loose would be the one who would do it for Phil D'Amato, who's got 2 in here. D'Amato also has Musical Rhapsody, who could use a little help. Musical Rhapsody's run 4 times against Linda's Gift. 4 times has come up just short. So going to need a little bit of help from Turn Her Loose if that one's going to turn the tables.
Yeah, she might do exactly what you say she could do, and that would take the controlling speed factor out from Linda's Gift, but she doesn't care. I mean, you want to go, I'll sit second, just like she did in the race we just saw. So that's what I love about the versatility of some of these good mares. Some of these mares are not just mares, but any horse. They need things to go their way, and if they get it, then they look pretty good, but they don't always get it. Linda's Gift doesn't matter. Whatever you want to throw at her, as long as they're not grade 1 anisette types,
right?
She'll be able to win, and I'm pretty sure she will do so. Also, Daughter of Arrogate. What a loss it was to the breeding industry when he was injured and had to be put down a couple of years ago, because he looked to me like maybe the heir apparent to Curlin in a way. Long distance, late developing, versatile, top class sire was he, and his getter that way as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to wrap our 8 stakes races from Jeff Siegel, but we've got a couple more picks for you. I was going to drop these in earlier when we were talking about Aqueduct, but Eddie Olczyk's got his hat trick ready for Belmont at the Big Egg coming up on Saturday. So let's share that with you here on the podcast. Here are Eddie's 3 best bets on the Belmont at the Big Egg card for Saturday. Race number 2, he's got the 3-horse Guile. Nice price in that one. Race number 3, a middling price with the 7 Catskill Humor. And in race number 8, a shorter price with the 10 Marco T. So you got a long shot, a mid price, and one that'll compete for favoritism with Eddie Olczyk's hat trick best bets races 2, 3, and 8 coming up on the card on Saturday. Again, to review those for our audio podcast listeners, race 2, it's the 3. Race 3, it's the 7. And race 8, it's the 10. Those are Eddie Olczyk's hat trick best bets Saturday for Belmont at the Big A. That's going to wrap things up. As you've seen scrolling across the bottom of the screen throughout the podcast, a reminder, we will be off next week, so we will return in 2 weeks' time. We'll have coming up 2 weeks Tuesday, its official return, and then 2 weeks from today, we'll be back with the First Call Handicapping podcast. So we're getting geared up towards Saratoga and Del Mar in just a few weeks' time, Jeff. So good time to take a little break and get away from racing for a week for me, and then get back and dive in there and get set for those 2 big boutique meets. It's going to be a great summer.
Yeah, it is. And we got closing weekend at Santa Anita this week, and I've done the handicapping for Fridays and Saturdays already.
Nice.
And both cards, deep contentions. I wish they had these kind of cards every week, but everybody's kind of looking ahead to Del Mar, but Del Mar doesn't start till the 3rd week of July.
Right.
So there's a gap here, and I think some of these trainers and horsemen are saying, why not run? I can't run. I can go to Los Al, but they don't write races for my horses, so I'll run here and then take about a month off and then hit Del Mar running. So can't wait for Del Mar, obviously, and Saratoga. We've got clockers. Video clockers at both tracks. Don't think that doesn't help. We've got a couple of cameras at Saratoga already. We'll be there, and then same thing at Del Mar. So if you're playing those 2 big meetings, check out xbtv.com because we will be there and hopefully supplying you with the kind of information that you need. So, so check out my analysis, my full card analysis for Del Mar this weekend. And then they've got me working a 12-race program on Sunday on the Intertrack. You're going on vacation. I'm going to need one.
All right. Well, come on down. We got room for you. You can hang out with us for the week. On behalf of my partner, Jeff Siegel, and everybody with First, to have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks' time. God bless all.